Hey retro food fans, today we're going to go back to 1942 and revisit war ration cooking. Today we're going to make a tamale pie right out of World War II. You're going to love it. I'm Jill and this is YesterKitchen. So today we're going to revisit our war ration cooking. You haven't seen my previous video? Check it out after this one. I talk about what war ration was, why we did it, what was ration, and all that information. So go back there and you're going to get a fill in the blanks of this one. But today we are going to make tamale pie. It's so great, so economical, so convenient, and worked in perfectly with all the war ration foods. They come straight out of a 1942 cookbook, all about how a modern housewife back then can cook during the war. In my first video, I talked about war ration stamps and how you needed to use them in the grocery stores where you couldn't buy groceries without these stamps, but I didn't have the stamp books to show you. So my son Jason, I love you Jason, that Christmas, just last Christmas, I opened up my gift and guess what it was? War ration stamps. I started to cry. It was just amazing. I couldn't believe he actually got it and bought them for me. Anyway, I want to show you what they look like. So, these are war ration books, see, as you can see. And inside, these are the stamps. So what you had to do is you had to go to the grocery store and you were only allowed to purchase so much. And here, I'll show you another one. This one's out of Texas. And he's actually used some of them. So different colors meant you could buy different things. The stamps had to be intact or the cashier could not take them. But there they are, war, right out of the war. I can't even tell you how much this means to me. And I wanted to share them with you, but let me get them way out of the way so nothing happens to them. So tamale pie, the first time it ever showed up in a cookbook was 1911. And they believe it came from Texas, but it fit perfectly into the war ration cooking movement because it was very economical. There were really easy ingredients. Cornmeal was plentiful. You don't need a lot of beef, and the rest are just spices and butter, and you could feed your family and not spend a lot and support the war effort. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the cornmeal. Tamale pie is really 2 layers of cornmeal with a layer of kind of a meat, tomato, chili, spicy, not really that spicy, filling in between. So here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1 1/3 cups of water. Just plain old water right into a pot. And to that, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And to that, we're going to add 1 can of evaporated milk. It's usually 12 ounces. That's how it comes. And it goes. Evaporated milk was very popular during the war because it was just easy, it was convenient. It was actually evaporated, so you added more water to make more milk. And 2/3 cup of cornmeal, because you gotta have that. Okay, so we're just gonna stir this around and let it come back up to a boil. So cornmeal, super easy to make. We put in our liquid, we put in our dry cornmeal. Now we wanna bring it up to a boil so it can start to, so all the cornmeal can start absorbing all the liquid, and that's when it gets thick and it's gonna get into that, you know, solid state eventually. But right now, take a look. See, it's just starting to boil. I do have a trusty whisk because you want to just break it up, and as you can see, it's already starting to thicken. So we're just going to let that thicken for a few more minutes, and I'm going to babysit this thing, and we'll be right back. Okay, so it's thick now. Take a look. I've actually switched from my whisk to my spoon, and look at that. It is just thickening up beautifully, and that's exactly what you want. And the reason it's so creamy is because we added evaporated milk. Evaporated milk was very popular during the wartime. Okay, so now we're pretty thick. So as you can see, all that dried cornmeal has absorbed all the liquid. And this is just perfect. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take it off the heat, cover it, and let it cool. And now we're gonna get to step 2. So while your cornmeal is cooling, we're gonna start with the meat filling. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're going to take 2 tablespoons of butter, let it start melting around, and you're going to take about 1/2 cup of chopped onions. You want them kind of fine, just like that. And then you're going to let that cook for maybe about 5, 8, 10 minutes, whenever you start to see the onions translucent. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes, and like I said, it's 5, 8, 10 minutes, only because, you know, heat We all have our heat at different levels. I could say medium-high, but my medium-high may not be your medium-high. So just until they get translucent, just like this. See, they're just starting to cook in the butter and starting the tiniest bit brown. And that's really where you want them. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add 3/4 of a pound of ground beef. Now, if you just have a pound because that's how they sell it, that's totally fine. We're not, thankfully, not in ration buying and shopping and cooking anymore. But back then they were, and that 3/4 of a pound was very important. Right now, we'll just be very grateful and say if we have a pound, we've got a pound. Okay, so there's our pound of ground beef. And we're just gonna go ahead and brown that in with the onions. And don't forget, meanwhile, our cornmeal is, I'm actually have it on a burner that's off, covered on the stove, cooling while we do this. Okay, we are back. Our meat is all brown, check it out. And today I am playing the role of a wartime housewife making an economical dinner for her family. I'm very grateful I'm here now, so I don't have to do that. Okay, and I can just teach about it because that's what I love. This is how you learn about history, through food, to the past. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add 1 cup, which is pretty much almost 1 small can of chopped tomatoes. Not stewed, just plain chopped tomatoes, because stewed tomatoes, they add spices and things, which are wonderful, but not for this dish. Because we're gonna add our own spices, which are not very much, as you'll see. We're gonna add 3/4 of a teaspoon salt, and 1/8 a teaspoon pepper, and then we're gonna have 1 teaspoon of chili powder. You can use any kind you like. This happens to be New Mexico chili powder. But any chili powder you get will be fine. And your 1 teaspoon of chili powder is not gonna really add any heat. It's just gonna add flavor. And then you're gonna mix that up. Let it come to a tiny little simmer so a little bit of that liquid can get reduced. And that should take about 5 minutes. Okay, now take a look. See, it's just, you do want some liquid in there. It's just like cooked down a little bit. It's been about 3 or 4 minutes. Now I'm gonna get that out of the way. Turn off the heat. Let me show you my cornmeal. See, it's all pretty stiff, very, very solid, and just beautiful and ready to make this thing. Okay, so the first thing we have is a 9-inch square pan. And I'm gonna go ahead and coat that with cooking spray. Now, cooking spray was not available during World War II, but oil was. Okay, so we're gonna start by bringing our cornmeal over. And we're gonna take half of it and put it in the bottom. And just kind of spread it out. And it's just kind of like dough. You just want to play with it. Now, of course, with the cooking spray, you're going to be thankful later, but during it kind of slips and slides around. Okay. Now, we're going to take our meat mixture. Get on there, you. And everyone in the bowl, right on top of the cornmeal. So this is an easy, easy dinner that you can serve your family any night of the week. It's liked by kids and adults alike. Okay. By the way, my oven is on 375, ready for this to go. Okay. Now you take the last of your cornmeal. And what I like to do, because you can't always spread it. Sometimes it's temperamental. Is I just put little globs like kind of everywhere. And then what you do is you make your best attempt at making all these globs become a crust. If it doesn't cover it completely, it's okay, because really the meat is the main focus. The cornmeal is the filler. There was a lot of fillers going on in 1942. You had to fill people up while you couldn't buy as much meat as you liked. Oh, look, it's coming together quite nicely. It doesn't have to hit the ends. It just needs to kind of have the top going. So now this is going in our 375 oven. We're gonna bake it for 45 minutes and we'll be right back. So it's been 45 minutes, take a look. Look at our tamale pie. The cornmeal has just started to brown. It's picking up the tomato sauce. It is nice and perfect, and oh, it's got the layer below, it's got the layer above. And don't let this simple recipe fool you. The evaporated milk in the cornmeal makes it just so beautiful and silky. And the meat, as little and minimally spiced as it is, the flavor is perfect. So let's take a cut. I'm gonna move this over, and I recommend for a full balanced meal, serving this with a salad. I'm a big fan of raw spinach, and on top I have ranch dressing, original Hidden Valley ranch dressing, and because it's a Mexican feel, I added a half an avocado to it. What? You haven't seen my ranch dressing video? Take a look. It goes into the history of how it was even created, and then I give you the original recipe. It's fabulous. But for now, let's get back to the tamale pie. You know what? I'm gonna move this a little bit so you can see me cut. Let's see, can we get, yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to cut a tiny little piece for me so you can see how it comes out. And of course the first piece is always the toughest. There it is. And the bottom, you're not going to get perfect like slices out of it because the bottom is very juicy, as you can see, but the flavors are so on point. Let's get that out of the way. Put a little fork. Discover war ration cooking. It's economical, it's delicious, and your family will love it. Then you can tell your family about the history. Food history. I'm holding history in my hands. How amazing is that? Thank you again, Jason. I love you so much. One of the best gifts I ever got. So I hope you give it a try. If you would like to explore more dishes from your childhood, or just the past, I invite you to subscribe. I release new videos every Friday. In the meantime, here's some more retro dishes for you. And remember, every dish, even tamale pie, has a story. I'll see you in the next video.